To make beautiful braised osso bucco or short ribs or a beef stew or anything that's braised where you're going to need chicken stock, you could buy it. You can go to the market, there's lots of options. You can even spend, I think, $18 on a quart of some kind of like high-end bone broth or chicken broth or stock. But why not make our own? We're gonna make a duck stock. This is for all you guys out there that are raising your own ducks, or better yet, Muscovies. I raise Muscovies, they're wonderful. They're quiet, they don't quack, nice birds. The boys get really big in a reasonable amount of time. The girls, they're a little bit small, but still wonderful, wonderful meat. When I process my birds, I usually do them in groups of 2 to 4. And for this all-clad pot that I have, it's 8 quarts and it fits 2 birds really nice. So I tend to make stock in batches of two bird batches, I guess. So I think a Muscovy in particular, so Muscovy duck, right, quote unquote duck, it's its own type of waterfowl. It's not really a duck. Roasting a whole Muscovy is worse than roasting a turkey because the legs are so tough on a Muscovy. They're excellent if you have a moist heat cooking method. You know, something braising wise, or confit is the way to go. But if you roast a whole bird, the breasts are gonna be excellent and the legs will be unedible, or you'll make the legs beautiful, tender, falling off the bone, and the breast will be killed. So I always break down my birds into breasts and legs, and then I have the carcass that I will turn into stock. And here's one other piece of it. This is where we're kind of going different from chicken stock. So in chicken, if you're making chicken stock, you're gonna use the bones from like the back and the ribs. You would never use the drumette or the wing because that's food. You can make, who doesn't like buffalo wings, right? Spicy buffalo wings, great. That's drumettes and wings. The Muscovy wings and drumettes are so tough. To get them edible on their own, you have to cook them forever. So I put them into my stock. So that's kind of like one place where, you know, if you were making a chicken stock from your backyard chickens, you certainly wouldn't be putting drumettes and wings in there because that'd be a waste. The drumettes and wings from Muscovies can cook so long, they can withstand the 4 to 6 hour cooking time and still be good, edible, usable meat that's not dry and overcooked and like disintegrating. Kind of unique to geese, same also. Muscovies, geese, ducks too. The wings and the drumettes are they're pretty tough. So that's how I end up with lots of duck bones. So I take my bones, I put them into my pot and I'm gonna wash them. I would do this whether I bought them or if they're coming out of like, you know, me butchering them. I wanna get any excess blood, any debris, any little feathery bits that might be stuck on there off. So give them a rinse, drain them. Do it 3 times. The 3rd time the water should be much more clear, and then fill them up. We wanna have like a good 2 inches of water above the bones. So whatever pot kind of produces that type of result. I wouldn't do a stock out of anything less than 1 like duck carcass because it's just not worth the project. More is better. Go in a big volume. This is kind of an all-day back burner thing, so you might as well make a lot, make it worth your time. Pot goes on the fire, turn it up high. We're gonna bring it up to just before it rolls or just to rolling, and then turn it down real low. You'll see some foam and debris come to the surface. We will skim it, not yet. We'll let a little bit more surface. And we're gonna get it simmering at like kind of a smooth, gentle tempo. We don't wanna poach it. We don't want just like a couple bubbles here and there. And we don't wanna roll it. We don't want it boiling because we don't wanna evaporate our stock off before we've developed a stock. This is a nice tempo. I like this. Something in this neighborhood is good. We want it hot enough so the connective tissue, the cartilage, everything's breaking down and giving our stock that really gelatinous quality that we're looking for that will make a beautiful sauce in braised short ribs or osso bucco or something like that. Or if you are making like a red wine duck sauce, we want a really viscous duck stock or chicken stock to have like a really nice consistency in our sauce. I worked at a restaurant where we made our own chicken stock. It was always chicken stock rolling, giant 50-gallon pots. Like they takes 2 guys to get it onto the stove when it's loaded. And when that stock would end up in the fridge, the saucier would disregard first in, first out, and whatever date was on the 5-gallon bucket of finished chicken stock, and seek out whichever one had the most gelatinous quality. The one that most looked like Jell-O was the one that he put in his sauces because he knew that it was going to produce a better sauce that way. Our stock's going to cook for 2.5 hours with just the bones. Fat will come to the surface. It'll look real greasy on top. I like this shallow spoon that I have for this size pot and these bones because I can get in between the bones no problem and get just fat without taking off a bunch of the stock. I know people would commonly use a ladle for this. I feel like a ladle in this volume, like there's not a thick enough layer of fat for a ladle to be the right tool here. If it were a 50-gallon pot and there was like a 4-inch layer of fat, then yeah, a ladle's a great tool. But here, I think a shallow spoon is a good tool. I'm just using a red cup, plastic red Solo cup, so I can just throw the cup away when I'm done. You don't have to like wash greasy things in the sink. So pro tip, cut the top off of like an empty soda can or beer can, empty soda can or beer can, and you can use that and you can throw that away, or like a red cup, plastic cup, party cup. You can see how much fat came off of it. There's still a little bit here, no worries, it'll be fine. It's been rolling for 2.5 hours, and now it's time for mirepoix. Carrots, celery, and onions. And classically, it's 50% onions, 25% carrots, 25% celery. In this volume of 2 duck carcasses in an 8-quart pot, I've got 3 cups of Spanish onion, just big dice, big thumb-sized chunks, like, thumb size. Carrots, same size, and celery, same size. They don't need to be pretty, they don't need to be perfect, they just need to be similarly sized. So they go in, you can turn your fire back up, get it moving, and then turn it back down to like a nice cruising speed, something like this where it's moving a little bit. It's gonna go for another couple hours, and you'll see at this 4.5 hours, 5 hours, there's definitely some evaporation. Like we've lost a lot of volume here, but it's taken 4.5, 5 hours to lose this much volume. It's not like we did this in an hour and a half. We want to go slow. We want this extraction of all the nutrients out of the bones and connective tissues. How do I know when it's done? So there's this 4 to 6 hour window. It's going to take 4 to 6 hours. Things take a little longer where I am. I'm at altitude. Water boils at a lower temperature, so nothing's as hot as you think it is by just a couple degrees, and it makes a huge difference. Everything's way slower up here. So 4 to 6 hours is a good guideline. With duck, I'm looking for my drumettes. Let's see, here's a drumette. I'm looking at time, but then I'm also checking can I pull the meat off the bone? Is this tender yet? I want to save this, I want to use it, so I want it to be tender. So I'm looking at time, but also the meat on the drumettes and the wings, I want to see that it's just, falling apart. Because I'm going to save that. So it's been 4 to 6 hours. Your meat's falling off the bone for the drumettes and the wings. You can kill the fire and just let it hang out in the stove. Give it an hour just to kind of cool off a little bit. After about an hour, hour and a half, I'll get a pair of tongs in there and I'll take all the drumettes, all the wings, all the necks, and then also the way I break them down, I take off the scapulas, the shoulder blades, because they have some really nice meat on them. I'll save all that. I'll throw away the ribs, the backs, the pelvis, the other parts of it, because those don't have any meaningful meat that I can really pick through. I'll let my bones cool off so I can pick through the meat. The stock, I'm gonna strain it through a fine sieve, like a chinois. If you don't have one, just pick up some cheesecloth and strain it through some cheesecloth to make sure you get all the debris out of there. And then you have 2 choices here. Choice 1, you can cool it off in an ice bath, and then you can cryovac it. So vacuum bag it into whatever size portions make sense to you based on what you're going to use it for later. Maybe you want to pack them into quart size, like 4-cup batches in cryovac them and flat pack them, put them in your freezer, thinking okay, maybe I'm going to need 4 cups to make a red wine duck sauce, or I might need 8 cups to braise some Osso Bucco. And that way you don't have to make the mistake of packing up a gallon of stock and then you have to defrost a gallon of stock, but you only need 4 cups. So be strategic about how you pack it up, whatever makes sense for you and what you're going to use it for down the road. I tend not to freeze my stock. I do some of it in a pinch. We were moving this year and I just did not have time for a canning project. So I'd cool it and then just pack it up, freeze it, and it's just out of my way. But I prefer to save the the valuable real estate of my freezer for a half a cow, and like this year I have 31 ducks going in that freezer, and then kale from the garden and like different things. So I don't want to crowd up my freezer with things that can be stored in dry storage. And that's what I do with my duck stock. So skimming the fat is really important for pressure canning. I pressure can all my stock into 16-ounce jars in quart jars, just depending on my mood. Here's three quart jars from this batch. You can see the one on the right looks a little darker. It just has some of the sediment at the bottom. No big deal, whatever, it'll be fine. In mason jars, so these are mason jars, right? I'm saying canning. So anybody who's unfamiliar with how canning works, there's no metal can involved. It's glass mason jars with their special self-sealing lids. And then I use a pressure canner. I'm not going to talk about pressure canning. That's a different thing. You can do your own research. But a great way to preserve our duck stock without having to cool it. We just get it hot, rolling, hot pack it, can it, cool it, and it goes in the pantry. And now it's not in the freezer, and it's just always available, and I don't even have to defrost it. So if I want some, cool, let's go. A couple additional things. The four things I left out, and if you know anything about stock, you should have noticed this. There was no black pepper, no garlic, no parsley stems, and no bay leaf. I left those things out for no other reason that I really just want to keep this as simple as I can. I want basic flavors here. Sometimes the pepper can be a little too noticeable. Sometimes garlic can become overwhelming. I just didn't have any parsley, so I didn't add it. But those are classic ingredients that make a stock more complete. So listed in the recipe, those are optional, but classically incorporated in a classic chicken stock or duck stock. I want just a little bit more flexibility in the end result that I'm producing. If I decide to do something that's got like an Indian vibe, or I go kind of like I do like some char siu pork, and I've got like ginger and I've got garlic and scallions. I'm just keeping everything like really wide open for me to make a flavor profile change and not have any like background flavors that I might notice, but my wife and my kids would not. So my choice, your choice too. You know, what's the culinary application you're going to use a duck stock for? And, you know, add aromatics as you see fit. I think this is a great way to utilize the entire bird and really get the most out of, to really maximize the food potential of it, but also to really let the type of protein shine. Like leg meat from ducks or geese really shines in a confit or in some sort of moist heat cooking method. Breasts, score them, render them slow skin side down, and then serve them medium rare. They're amazing that way. Whole roasted ducks, I would leave that for like a Peking. But even in that case, I've raised jumbo Pekings, and I still did this. I still ended up breaking them down because I think there's so much more to get out of the bird than just a roasted duck. This is also one of these projects that's money in the bank, so to speak, because when you do decide that you're going to braise short ribs, or you're going to make Osso Bucco, or you want to make some beef stew or like a slow braised lamb ragu, you know there's stock in the fridge or the freezer or in your pantry, and then it takes the it takes the pain out of doing this project so you can do another project. It's already been done. It's waiting for you. It makes it really easy to decide that you're going to do a more involved braising project when you've got some stock in your back pocket.